Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. So it's been pretty much exactly 2.5 years since I took delivery of my 2022 SEL all-wheel drive Ioniq 5. So this is probably going to be my last update on the car. I wasn't sure if I was going to do a full-on 2.5-year review. I don't think it's really warranted. A whole lot hasn't changed since my 2-year review back in January. If you did see my recent video, the 12-volt battery did die. I did end up replacing that. But other than that, that's pretty much the last major thing that's happened with the car. I'm still riding on the original tires. I don't want to put my set of Hankook Ion Evos on this because likely I will be getting rid of this in the next few months. We still don't know 100%, but that is likely what's going to happen. So for this video, I'm just going to do a walk around of the car with you guys, and we're just going to look and see kind of for quality defects, kind of small little imperfections with the car, see how it stood the test of time over 2.5 years. Now, I will say up front, my car has been garage kept for 2.5 years, so it doesn't sit out in the sun very much. It does sit in the parking lot at work, but that's the extent of the time that it's outside. I get home, it immediately goes in the garage. But now it's time to do a walk around of my 2022 Ioniq 5. So here she is in all her glory. You know, she has held up very well. The paint still looks fantastic. You guys know I am a huge fan of digital teal. It's my favorite color that the car can be had in. All the different angles, it looks a little bit different. It looks green, it looks blue, it looks gray. I just absolutely in love with this color. So starting here in the back is something that I actually found a few months ago that I hadn't noticed before. And it is a paint defect. There is a bubble here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up too well, but there's a bubble in the paint. You can see there's a little rust spot there. So there is some rust forming underneath the paint there. Eventually that's probably going to chip the paint off and it's probably going to look pretty ugly. So whoever the next owner is unfortunately going to have a big, ugly spot right here, right at the bottom of the hatch. And I imagine it's probably formed in this location because water dripping down the side just puddles there and eventually got sucked up under something. That's probably my best guess. Now here on the back glass, there's no chips, there's no scrapes, there's nothing going on here. This is held up well. Now, obviously, these are not the emblems that came on the car from the factory. These are from a company called Best EV Mod. You can get these on Amazon. I've done multiple videos on different versions of these and shown you how to install them. And these have been on my car for, it's got to be closing in on 18 months now. And they look great still. The paint has not faded. There's a couple little small like rock chips on it, especially on the front emblem. But this still looks fantastic. I'm very happy for, I think, the 20 or 25 bucks they cost. They're definitely worth it. Yeah, here on the front, you can see there's one little rock chip up top, but other than that, it still looks pretty good. I think it's a better look than the OEM emblems, in my personal opinion. My trailer hitch from Torque Lift Central looks really good still. The powder coat on it is holding up quite well. The receiver tube here is stainless steel, so you don't have to worry too much about corrosion taking place here. You can see on the inside it doesn't look too bad. Nothing wrong with the charge port either. This little doodad here hasn't broken off or anything. That's perfectly fine. Now over on this side of the car is my, from what I am aware of, only dent in the car. It's right there. You can kind of see it if the light hits it just right. Looks like a door ding. I retract that statement. There is another dent right here that I did cause myself. I was trying to get an adapter off of my Tesla charging connector when I was testing Tesla destination charger adapters, and I was pulling really hard and it flew out of my hand and ricocheted off the body panel there. I think that's where that scrape came from too. So all around, that was just a stupid mistake. It's not too obvious though. Now, despite my best efforts to not get a bunch of swirl marks in the paint from washing it, inevitably you're gonna get them. Those will likely polish out. But again, I am not too concerned about it. All the black paneling on my SEL trim still looks quite good. I don't use any black restorer or anything. It's just washed. I don't even wax it. And I think it still looks fine. The gloss black inlay here doesn't really show too many scratches or anything, so that's good. Now I know a lot of limited trim owners that have the gloss black A, B, and C pillars. They have issues with the glossy material that's wrapped over it peeling off, but since I have the SEL, these are matte from the factory. This part is matte, so it's not actually wrapped with anything, so this still looks perfectly fine. The side mirrors have not taken too many bad impacts, apparently. They still look pretty clean. I definitely did get an impact right here. The plastic is kind of chipped right there. Nothing going on the driver's side, and the driver's side mirror also looks pretty good. The leading edge of the roofline, I actually don't see any impacts from rocks or anything, which I'm actually pretty surprised by, because pretty much every car I've ever had, this front leading edge has always just gotten really beat up from rocks. And by some miracle, on the driver's side of the car, not a single dent. So what about the door handles? If you guys haven't seen when I first got the car, I did freeze these things completely shut with ice and then tried to open them. So these things have been thoroughly stress tested, and I haven't had any issues with them whatsoever. Despite being a main touch point of the car, the paint still looks great. The driver's is obviously the most used, so this would be the culprit for seeing any wear and tear. Now, because I do park my car inside the garage all the time, I haven't had to actually deal with any ice problems, so that's been great. All right, so let's start looking at the worst part of the car, which is obviously going to be the front end. So getting down here, the headlights still look pretty good. I don't think there's any real major dents or damage to the lens. You can see it is getting a little scraped up from road debris and just washing it. The center section here, despite being one of the flattest sections on the front leading edge of the car, I'm not seeing too many major divots or anything, just a lot of bug splatter for the most part, and then some little microchips from smaller rocks and road debris. Kind of the same thing going on the lens over on the driver's side. Getting down lower is where you'll start to see some more paint damage, some rock chips here, here. I'll touch those up eventually before I sell the car, but just gonna leave them for now. It's all plastic underneath, so you don't have to worry about corrosion. Some more over here on the passenger side. I'm not sure what this is. I can't tell if it's paint flaking off or it's just a massive bug splatter that I didn't get when I washed the car. I think it's coming off though. The center section is surprisingly clean. Really not too much damage there. And then the mustache light, as I like to call it, it's got some pitting from small rocks, but not really a whole lot to see on it because it is silver underneath. It kind of reflects light and doesn't allow you to really see much. All right, now let's look at the worst part of the front bumper, and that's going to be this silver painted section down below that houses your active air flaps. I'm sure it's not as bad on my car as it's going to be on the limited trims where this piece is all silver. The black here, you can't really tell what's hit it. You can just see some little bit of discoloration, but nothing like you're going to see on a limited trim where that's all silver. And that's evident down here by this. I mean, you can just see all the stuff that's hit it has taken the silver paint off. It looks really dirty. I assure you that is not dirt, that is missing paint. Down on the active air flaps, you can see more of it. Looks like I might have hit something or scraped it on one of those concrete parking lot stops or something, but that's a pretty big scrape, but you can't tell from the front really because it's so low. I'll try and find the part number for the touch-up paint pen for this, and if I do find it, I'll leave a link in the description. I might be getting one just to kind of touch some of this up, but this is just inevitable. With this silver painted plastic, it's gonna keep happening unless you just decide to not drive the car. Now on the hood here, there's a few rock chips. I've touched most of them up. This one's newer. I haven't had a chance to touch that one up. There's a few spots here on the passenger front fender that I touched up with a paint pen in a video that I made on how to use that. And despite the people commenting saying, "Oh my God, you did such a bad job," I've never once walked past this fender and been like, "Oh my God, look at that horrible touch-up job." You just really can't tell unless you're looking for them. If somebody that has never seen this car walked up to it, they would not be able to find them. You're never gonna get it looking perfect. That's really about it for the front end. The hood actually looks pretty good. There's a bigger rock chip right there that I filled in. But yeah, other than a handful of small rock chips and then some swirling going on, I don't know what I did here, but there's a pretty significant swirl mark right there. You can see it. I don't know what I did to get that one, but that would probably buff out as well. In regards to the front windshield, this is the original windshield that came with the car. I haven't hit anything. It hasn't gotten any chips in it, no cracks or anything. So fingers crossed it lasts a few more months until I get rid of the car. So I mean, that about does it for the exterior. I think it still looks fantastic. It's not like the paint has faded or anything or is chipping off, other than that small little rust spot on the rear hatch. Let's take a look inside. I'll show you guys the problems I've had in there. They're few and far between. So on the interior here, I've talked about this in some of my other major reviews. There's this peeling issue with this material here, but this is not Hyundai's fault. This is my fault, my own stupidity. Best EV Mod had a plastic piece here that looked like, I think it was like carbon fiber or something, with double-sided 3M adhesive tape on the back. And I put it on there for a video that I was gonna do to review the product. And I didn't even consider the fact that that 3M tape, when you go to pull it off, is probably gonna delaminate this material from its backing material. And lo and behold, the second I tried peeling it off, it just started tearing this material off of the substrate. And now I've got this damage due to my own stupidity. I don't think they sell that product anymore, but I definitely don't recommend it unless you never plan on taking it off. So how is the driver's seat holding up after 2.5 years, 30,000 miles? I think it still looks fantastic. There's a couple creases here, nothing major. I wear blue jeans rather frequently over the last year, more so than the black jeans that I used to wear. And there's really not a whole lot of dye transfer. I haven't washed this seat in a while, and you can see there's really not a lot of blue jean transfer. I've seen some people with Ioniq 5 seats where this whole section here has been completely cracked and damaged already. I don't know if I just got lucky here because it's a different color. I've seen that happen with black interiors, but not so much with the lighter colored interiors. So I don't really know, but mine is holding up well, and I'm a big guy that weighs 255 pounds, so yeah, it's probably gonna be a worst case scenario here. The rest of the seat looks fine. The armrest still looks really good. There's no damage going on here. It's still nice and soft. A little dirty, but not too bad. You can see the plastic here for the cup holders has gotten a little chewed up over the last 2.5 years, but like this silver plastic still looks pretty good despite it getting banged up a lot. So I'm not gonna give it too much grief here, but they've held up pretty well. No issues with the door pulls. I've had no issues with it cracking or anything. They feel nice and strong, just like the day I bought it. So back after I first got the car, I did put a screen protector on, but I didn't leave it on for all that long. And honestly, there is no major scratching going on here on the screen. It's just smudgy right now from my fingers, but there's really not any scratches or anything, so I wouldn't be too concerned about this getting scratched up over time. And then obviously this one's not a touch screen, so you're not touching it ever, so that shouldn't be an issue. So as you guys know, I 3D print these magnetic eyewear holders. So I'm doing a lot of prototyping, a lot of testing of these things, and I always have them installed. And you can see longevity-wise, this pad is holding up quite well. Surprisingly, it's a little dirty just from me touching it so much. You could wash it probably, but yeah, it's holding up quite well. Even with these on here moving around, the fabric has not ripped or anything. So really no complaints there. If you're interested in these, they're available on my website, ioniqguy.com. All the buttons and switchgear in here still look good. The shifter still looks good. This is a very high touch point area. Start stop button, no wear or tear going on there. This material here still looks really good. It gets a little scuffed up down here when your feet drag on it, but there's no tears or anything in it. It's not delaminating or anything. Looks pretty good. The upper door panels still look good. No issues with those. As I've mentioned before, here on the passenger door, I do have an issue here with the door panel material. Again, totally my fault. I had one of my camera mounts mounted on the window here, and stupid me forgot it was there. I went to roll down the window and it came down and just dug a little hole into that. I tried to flatten it back out as best as I could, but it's still fairly noticeable. All the door switches still look good. Here in the back seat, I don't think there's any damage whatsoever. All this fabric on the seat back still looks really nice. I don't have rear seat passengers all that often, so it's not getting touched by dirty little kid hands or anything, but it's still holding up well, looks good. I did get a smudge over here when I was loading tires into the car, but that'll wash out. Up there on the headliner too. Oh, and up on that door handle too. The headrests back here look fine. Here in the cargo area, really nothing out of the ordinary. I got some scuffs and stuff from loading stuff in here over the last couple years, but that is about it. You can see here I removed the 12-volt outlet so I could pull the trailer light wiring harness through so that I can test my automatic door lock modules that I sell on my website as well without having to take the whole trunk panel apart every time I wanted to test a batch. So this makes it a lot easier for me to test those out. I have not experienced the dreaded tailgate rattle, so I haven't had to deal with that and bring it in to get that TSB done. Well, that's pretty much it. So that about does it. That's how my Ioniq 5 has held up over the last 2.5 years. Hyundai really knows how to build cars. They've been doing it for a long time, and I think this Ioniq 5 is living proof of that. Have you guys had any issues with paint, interior materials, whatever? Let me know down in the comments section. So anyway, if you guys liked today's video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.